Texas sits on 9 major aquifers, not just one. The Ogallala gets the headlines, but it's far from the only story. From the rolling plains to El Paso, from Dallas-Fort Worth to the Gulf Coast, groundwater is under pressure almost everywhere. Some of these aquifers are recovering, some are sinking whole cities, some may not last another generation. We'll start where the pressure is greatest right now, the Texas Panhandle. Beneath 8 states lies the Ogallala Aquifer. It's one of the largest groundwater reserves on Earth, and across the Texas high plains it is running out. For decades, this water has powered farms, ranches, and towns. But the aquifer doesn't recharge the way it depletes. What took thousands of years to fill is being drawn down in decades. Nowhere is that clearer than right here, the Texas high plains. Saturated thickness, the water-bearing part of the aquifer, has been falling for 70 years. In some panhandle counties, wells have already lost decades' worth of reserves. At current pumping rates, some counties have less than 25 years of usable water left. Other parts of the aquifer, further north, may last another 50 to 80 years. The timeline depends on where you're standing, but the direction is the same everywhere. Every foot lost makes irrigation more expensive, and every dry well is permanent. This isn't a distant risk. For some communities, the clock is already most of the way down. This water built an economy. Texas Panhandle agriculture generates about $6.32 billion a year in economic activity. Nearly $3.4 billion of that is value added directly by local producers, and it's overwhelmingly dependent on Ogallala irrigation. 85% of Texas's fed beef comes from this region. So does 62% of the state's corn and 46% of its wheat. When the aquifer declines, it is not just a water story, it is a food and jobs story. South of the Panhandle, the rolling plains sit on the Seymour Aquifer. 90% of what it discharges goes straight to irrigation. Well yields are falling, and pumping is letting saline water creep in. Levels here are projected to keep dropping through 2070. It's a smaller aquifer, but the same story. Under Dallas-Fort Worth, the Trinity Aquifer tells an older story. In the Fort Worth area, water levels have dropped 850 feet since 1900. Some wells lost over 500 feet in just 2 decades of overpumping. It got bad enough that many local water systems switched to surface water instead, a rare case of a region choosing to stop relying on the aquifer. Further south, the Carrizo-Wilcox Aquifer runs under the Winter Garden region. It's shared by irrigated farmland and the oil and gas wells of the Eagle Ford Shale. Some landowners have seen up to 150 feet of drawdown. A few wells are losing 2 feet of water every single month. 2 industries, 1 aquifer, and a shrinking supply. The Edwards Aquifer under the Balcones Fault Zone is a different kind of critical. It's the primary water source for San Antonio, the 8th largest city in the country. A multi-year drought pushed it to its lowest level since 1990. It also feeds Comal and San Marcos Springs, Texas's 2 largest, and habitat for endangered species. When this aquifer drops, it's not just taps that are affected. West of the hill country, the Edwards-Trinity Plateau Aquifer stretches across 38 counties. Irrigation already accounts for 70% of what's pumped here. State projections expect groundwater availability to fall 25% by 2070. Along with the Ogallala, it's one of the 2 aquifers driving most of that statewide loss. West Texas's Pecos Valley Aquifer has a more complicated story. Decades of irrigation pumping caused up to 200 feet of decline since the 1940s. But since the 1970s, reduced pumping let water levels recover in some areas. Ward County is still the exception, still declining from continued overpumping. Far to the west, El Paso and Ciudad Juarez share the Hueco-Mesilla Bolson Aquifer. Together, this binational metro of roughly 3 million people has pumped it hard, at times up to 9 times faster than it naturally recharges. Some estimates say economically recoverable freshwater here could run out between 2020 and 2050. For El Paso, that clock may already be the closest one running. And then there's a different kind of consequence entirely. Around Houston, decades of groundwater pumping have made the ground itself sink. Land in some areas has dropped nearly 10 feet. It's raised flood risk and reshaped how the region manages stormwater ever since. The Harris-Galveston Subsidence District has limited pumping since 1976. 9 aquifers, 9 very different stories, some critical, some recovering, all of them shaping how Texas grows. The clock is already running in several corners of the state. The choices made now still decide what's next.